Welcome, everyone, to a special, comprehensive edition of our Sports Deep Dive. The tennis world is absolutely buzzing today, and if you've been paying any attention to the grass court season, you already know exactly why. We are looking at a headline that has sent shockwaves through the Women's Tennis Association Tour, across the courts of Europe, and all the way to Southeast Asia. The headline reads, "Whole world shocked. Alexandra Eala explodes immediately and falls Priscilla Hon of Australia." And let me tell you, that title barely even scratches the surface of the absolute masterclass we just witnessed at the Lexus Birmingham Open. This was not just a tennis match. This was a statement. This was a young phenom planting her flag firmly in the grass and declaring to the entire tennis establishment that her time has officially arrived. Let us set the stage for a moment. It is Tuesday, June the 2nd, 2026. The grass court season is a notoriously tricky period for many players on the tour. The transition from the grueling, slow, high-bouncing red clay of the French Open to the fast, slick, low-bouncing lawns of England is arguably the most difficult surface change in all of professional tennis. It requires a complete recalibration of footwork, timing, and mental fortitude. Many seasoned veterans stumble during this brief window. They struggle to find their footing. They struggle to adapt their swings. But then you have Alexandra Eala. Entering the WTA 125 Birmingham Open as the top seed, the 21-year-old Filipina sensation stepped onto the court against Australia's Priscilla Hon, a player with significant experience and a game that can be incredibly dangerous when it clicks. The stakes were high. Eala had just suffered a disappointment in her doubles campaign today before alongside her Czech partner Nikola Bardonkova, falling to the British duo of Harriet Dart and Maya Lumsden. Many wondered if that early exit would cast a shadow over her singles debut on the grass this year. Instead of letting that defeat linger, Eala channeled it into pure, unadulterated dominance. From a very first ball struck, the Filipina star exploded out of the gates. We are talking about a level of tennis that completely paralyzed her opponent. Eala raced through the opening set with terrifying efficiency, blanking the world number 143 Australian in just 22 minutes. A 6-love first set on grass is a rarity. It requires impeccable serving rhythm, lightning-fast return reflexes, and an aggressive mindset that does not allow the opponent to breathe. Eala displayed all of these qualities in abundance. She won an astonishing 27 receiving points over the course of the match compared to Hon's mere 10. Eala was reading Hon's serve like a large print children's book, anticipating placement, cutting off the angles, and neutralizing whatever weapons the Australian tried to bring to the table. But the story of this match is not just about the numbers. As staggering as they are, it is about the manner in which Eala dismantled a very capable opponent. Priscilla Hon is not a novice. She has been on the tour for years. She knows how to handle pace, and she has had victories over Eala in the past, specifically on the hard courts at the Ningbo Open back in late 2024. But this was a different Alexandra Eala. This was a top-seeded player embracing the pressure, embracing the expectations, and delivering performance that left the entire stadium in awe. She extended her streak to an incredible 11 consecutive games, going up 6-love and 5-love before Hon finally managed to scrape together a hold to serve and a break to briefly pause the bleeding. But even then, there was no panic from the Philippine prodigy. Eala calmly stepped up to the baseline and served out the match with a flawless love hold to seal the victory 6-love. 6-2 in just 59 minutes. Let that sink in for a moment. 59 minutes. Less than an hour of court time to completely dismantle a top 150 player in a professional WTA event. This is why the entire tennis world is shocked. We always knew Alexandra Eala had the talent. Ever since she was a highly touted junior honing her craft at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain, the tennis community has watched her development with keen interest. She made history by winning the U.S. Open girls singles title, becoming the first Filipino to achieve a junior Grand Slam singles championship. But the transition from a junior superstar to a consistent force on the senior women's tour is notoriously unforgiving. Countless prodigies have crumbled under the weight of expectations and the physicality of the adult circuit. Eala, however, is proving that she possesses a unique resilience, an elite tennis IQ, and a relentless work ethic that separates the good from the great. This victory in Birmingham is a colossal confidence booster as we head deeper into the grass court season. With Wimbledon looming on the horizon, The way she dictated play, her aggressive positioning on the return, and her ability to hit cleanly through the slick grass court without being rushed are all massive indicators that her game translates beautifully to this surface. It shows maturity. It shows a tactical evolution. When you watch a young player secure a victory of this magnitude, in this fashion, it forces the entire locker room to take notice. Every single player left in the draw, whether it's Belgium's Greet Minnen or Russia's Alina Kariva, whom Eala might face next, will have seen that scoreline. 6-love, 6-2. It sends a message. It says, I am not just here to participate. I am here to conquer. And this match, this 59-minute exhibition of sheer dominance, will undoubtedly go down as one of the defining moments of her 2026 campaign. Now, let's transition into a much deeper analysis of exactly how Alexandra Eala engineered the spectacular blowout against Priscilla Hon to truly appreciate what happened on that court in Birmingham. We have to break down the mechanics, the tactics, and the psychological warfare that takes place in a professional tennis match, especially one that ends in such a lopsided scoreline. First and foremost, we must talk about the serve and return dynamic, because this is where the match was unequivocally won and lost. On grass, the serve is the ultimate weapon. The ball skids off the surface, maintaining a low trajectory and preserving its speed, making it incredibly difficult for the returner to get a clean look, let alone take an offensive cut at the ball. Yet, Eala managed to neutralize Priscilla Hon's serve completely. We mentioned earlier that Eala won 27 receiving points compared to Hon's 10. That statistic alone tells a story of utter dominance on the return of serve. Eala was stepping inside the baseline, taking the ball early, and rushing Hon immediately after she completed her service motion. By doing this, Eala took away the one advantage a server inherently possesses: time. When a player is returning as aggressively and accurately as Eala was, it puts an immense psychological burden on the server. Priscilla Hon stepped up to the line knowing that if she did not hit a perfect serve, if she missed her spot by even a few inches, the ball was coming back at her twice as fast. This pressure often leads to a decrease in first serve percentage and an increase in double faults, as the server tries to go for too much. Hon was simply suffocated. She could not find free points, and she could not establish any rhythm. Eala's anticipation was otherworldly. It was as if she knew exactly where Hon was going to serve before the ball was even tossed into the air. This speaks volumes about the preparation Eala and her coaching team put in before the match. They had Hon's pattern scouted perfectly, and Eala executed the game plan with surgical precision. On the other side of the equation, we have to look at Eala's own service games. The Filipina held a decisive 26-17 advantage in service points won. While she may not have the most overpowering, booming serve on the WDA Tour in terms of sheer miles per hour, what she lacks in raw pace, she more than makes up for in placement, spin, and variety. On grass, a well-placed slice serve out wide or a body serve that jams the opponent can be far more effective than a flat bomb down the center. Eala mixed up her locations brilliantly, never allowing Hon to get comfortable or anticipate the direction of the serve. She hit her spots consistently, and when she was presented with a short return, she stepped in and punished the ball, dictating the rally from the very first strike. Furthermore, we must examine the tactical geometry of the court that Eala employed. Grass court tennis is fundamentally different from clay or hard courts. On clay, players can stand 10 feet behind the baseline, hit heavy topspin, and construct long, grueling points. On grass, that strategy is a recipe for disaster. The low bounce demands that players stay close to the baseline, bend their knees, and take the ball on the rise. Eala's footwork was exceptional. She maintained a low center of gravity, which is absolutely crucial on this surface. When Hon tried to hit low slices to force Eala to hit up on the ball, Eala adjusted her footwork effortlessly, getting under the ball and driving it deep into the corners. She flattened out her ground strokes when necessary, hitting piercing drives that skidded to the court and rushed Hon into making defensive, off-balance replies. Let's also discuss the mental aspect of this matchup, because going up against a player you have a history with always add a layer of complexity. Eala and Hon had played twice before this encounter. Eala won their first meeting in Roehampton in 2023, but Hon got the better of her on the hard courts of the Ningbo Open in late 2024. Entering this match, the head-to-head was tied at 1-1. For a young player like Eala, facing an opponent who has recently beaten you can sometimes cause doubt to creep in. But Eala showed absolute mental fortitude. She did not play the opponent. She played the ball. She stripped away the context of their previous encounters and focused entirely on executing her strategy for this specific day on this specific surface. Winning the first set 6-love in 22 minutes is a testament to that laser-like focus. She did not give Hon a single inch of breathing room to build confidence or find a rhythm. When we look at the 11 consecutive games Eala won, the 6-love first set followed by a 5-love lead in the second, it highlights an incredible killer instinct. In tennis, momentum is a very fragile thing. When a player is up big, there's a natural, almost subconscious tendency to relax, to take the foot off the gas pedal just a fraction of a percent. This is when the opponent can sneak back into the match. But Eala was relentless. She kept the intensity dialed up to the maximum until she was serving for the match at 5-love. Yes, Hon managed to string together 2 games, breaking Eala for the first time in the match and holding her own serve to make it 5-2. But rather than panicking or letting the situation spiral, Eala responded like a seasoned veteran. She walked to the baseline at 5-2 and delivered a love hold, shutting the door firmly and emphatically. That final game was perhaps the most impressive of the entire match, as it showcased her ability to mentally reset and produce her best tennis when it was time to close out the victory. As we wrap up this extensive deep dive into an unforgettable day of tennis, we have to zoom out and look at the broader implications of Alexandra Eala's magnificent 59-minute victory over Priscilla Hon. This is not just a story about a single match in the first round of the Birmingham Open. This is a narrative about the evolution of a rising superstar, the pride of a nation, and a warning shot fired across the bow of the women's professional tennis circuit. First and foremost, the cultural and national impact of Alexandra Eala's success cannot be overstated. The Philippines has a rich sporting history, but tennis is not traditionally a sport where they have had a consistent presence at the very highest echelons of the global singles game. Eala is changing that narrative entirely. She carries the hopes, dreams, and immense pride of millions of Filipinos every time she steps onto the court. We heard it in her post-match interview, where she took the microphone and addressed the crowd. She was genuinely surprised and deeply moved by the sheer number of Filipino fans who had come out to support her in Birmingham, England, when she said, "Maraming salamat sa suporta," and "Magita tayo bukas," "Thank you very much for support," and "See you tomorrow." She wasn't just speaking to people in the stands. She was speaking to an entire nation that follows her every forehand and backhand from thousands of miles away. The energy that a supportive crowd brings can be a massive catalyst for a player, and Eala clearly fed off that vibrant, passionate atmosphere. It transforms a lonely individual sport into a collective national experience. Looking ahead to the rest of the grass court season, this performance makes Eala a name that nobody will want to see next to theirs in the draw. Entering a tournament as the top seed brings a unique kind of pressure. You are expected to win. You are the hunted, not the hunter. The way Eala embraced that top seed status and delivered a 6-love, 6-2 thrashing shows that she has a temperament to handle the spotlight. As she prepares to face either Greet Minnen of Belgium or Alina Kareva of Russia in the second round, she brings with her a wave of momentum that is incredibly difficult to stop. She has proven that she has a tactical blueprint for grass court success, aggressive returning, precise serving, low center gravity, and a relentless offensive mindset. Furthermore, this victory is a crucial building block for her ranking and her trajectory toward the absolute top tier of the sport. Currently ranked inside the top 40, hovering around number 37 in the world, Eala is firmly establishing herself as a main draw fixture in the biggest tournaments on the planet. Deep runs at events like the WTA 125 Birmingham Open are exactly what she needs to accumulate the points necessary to push into the top 20 and eventually the top 10. Matches like this one against Priscilla Hon, matches where she doesn't just win, but dominates efficiently and saves physical energy, are the hallmark of elite players. The top players in the world do not waste time in the early rounds. They get on the court, execute their game plan, and get off the court in under an hour to preserve their bodies for the grueling latter stages of the tournament. Eala executed that elite playbook perfectly today. In the grand scheme of women's tennis, Alexandra Eala represents the next generation of complete players. She is not a one-trick pony. She does not rely solely on one massive weapon to win matches. She is a tactician, an exceptional athlete, and a mentally robust competitor who is continuously refining her craft. The experience she gained from her time at the Rafa Nadal Academy has clearly instilled in her a level of professionalism and grit that is rare for someone who has just turned 21. She understands the grind of the tour. She knows how to bounce back from setbacks, as evidenced by her immediate recovery from the doubles lost the day prior, and she clearly possesses a profound belief in her own abilities. So, when the headline reads "Whole World Shocked," it is not hyperbole. It is a genuine reflection of how eye-opening this performance truly was. To drop only 2 games in a professional WTA grass court match against a veteran opponent is a stunning achievement. It serves as a definitive declaration that Alexandra Eala is not just a promising talent anymore. She is a fully realized threat on the WTA Tour, a player capable of taking a racket out of her opponent's hands and dictating play with absolute authority. We will be watching her progress through the rest of the Birmingham Open and into Wimbledon with immense anticipation. If she continues to strike the ball with this level of clarity, aggression, and precision, there is truly no ceiling to what she can achieve this season. The grass courts of Europe have officially been put on notice. Alexandra Eala has arrived, and she means business. Thank you for joining me for this in-depth analysis. We will see you next time as we continue to follow this incredible journey.